you very much to my co-instructors for being a part of this instruction course. Uh, I'm just going to share my screen. So our instruction course, like last year, is based on learning from my mistakes in Retina. And we'll be going over different technologies and different tools that we have in our armamentarium and how can we use them best in the best interest of our patients and optimizing the outcomes in our patients. So we have, experts from all over India who are part of our instruction course. And we'll just begin with my talk, which is going to be very short. And I'm going to be speaking about how you can go wrong when you're treating on the basis of OCT angiography. So at the outset, I'd like to begin by stating that there are a number of limitations of all the OCTA devices. And the most important issues are image artifacts, which are a serious and a bothersome issue present in all the OCTA studies and also in the clinics. We also face issues with motion artifacts and doubling effects, and we also have shadowing and segmentation errors. Let me go to the first scenario, which is diabetic macular edema. And OCTA in diabetic macular edema is definitely challenging. Like, for example, you have this patient here. As soon as you find that there is a cystoid space in the retina, you find that there is a segmentation error. And if you look at carefully the segmentation slab at the bottom left, you realize that in the area of the cystoid space, the segmentation line really goes haywire. And this leads to false flow deficit areas in the center, especially in the deep capillary plexus. This is a segmentation error and not a shadowing error. And you also realize that you hardly are able to see any microaneurysms on the superficial or deep capillary plexus. This makes it extremely challenging and difficult to monitor these patients in terms of the leakage on the, as you can do it on fluorescein angiography and to treat them further. Case after case, you realize that there are flow deficit areas when none exist, and this goes on in all patients of DME. So really in patients of DME, OCT angiography as of now has limited role in the management in our clinics. Definitely, there are studies on segmentation in which you can look at the segmentation slabs and correct and look at the vascular densities. The cheat sheet here is that if you have the superficial capillary plexus segmented well, which is 3 microns below the internal limiting membrane, and at the junction between the IPL and INL, that is the correct segmentation slab. And for the deep capillary plexus, it should be the lower border of the superficial capillary plexus to 70 microns further below. Second situation is AMD and CNV. So this is a 72-year-old female who has received injections in the past, and there is intraretinal fluid and a CNV, and you realize that there are two components in this CNV. One is the Medusa head pattern, which is an active part, has multiple branching, tiny radiating vessels, and you have this inactive component, which is a large trunk vessel with minimal branching and no loops. Look at this patient, who is a 68-year-old male, has received multiple injections and there is no fluid on the OCT. This patient has a stable visual acuity, and you realize that this image on the OCT angiography is nothing but an inactive CNV. So if you are treating on the basis of this visible trunk on OCT angiography, you may not achieve much because this is a large trunk with infrequent branching and less anastomosis, and this is a very kind of a stable or a regressed CNV. The third scenario is retinal vein occlusion, where you realize that this patient, over a period of follow up, has developed collaterals. But OCTA will not be able to tell you whether these are collaterals or this is a neovascularization. So it's very difficult to differentiate between collaterals and neovascularization on OCTA in vein occlusions. And therefore, in vein occlusions, it's very important to have also your decision based on clinical photographs and fluorescein angiography, and not just depend upon OCT angiography. In CRVO eyes, we realize that there are flow deficit areas or there is an increased intercapillary spacing, especially in the deep capillary plexus. If you compare with the fellow eyes, the vascular density is definitely going to be less. In eyes with CRVO, the deep capillary plexus shows you a less branching number and vessel density. And there are now newer indices which have come up, which are more sensitive compared to the vessel density, such as the branch length and the Euclidean length. And all of these are geometric measures or even astronomic measures, which are now being applied to OCT angiography in determining the sensitivity and specificity of the image compared to the fellow eye. Finally, the scenario is PCV, where you have on ICG active polyps and branching vascular network. And we know that this can be best seen on video ICG, but even ICG on spectralis gives you a very good image of these polyps. The moment you look at the OCT angiography, you find that you can only see the branching vascular network. The polyps are very difficult to see on OCT angiography, and you really need to spend time with the device, and you realize that you may be seeing artifacts but not true polyps on the OCT angio. So it's very difficult to treat a case of PCV just on the basis of OCT angiography without ordering ICG. We now know that PDT is no longer available, and so the role of ICG may have somewhat suffered, but definitely we know that in patients with PCV, OCTA alone cannot pick up your polyps. And so you need more thorough evaluation in these eyes. So common conditions where OCTA can mislead or it can be inadequate rather would be diabetic retinopathy. The current technology doesn't allow you to see the entire spectrum of changes of diabetes in eyes, with the OCT angiography alone. Also, retinal vascular occlusions. OCT angiography is a very good tool to look at the flow void areas, but beyond that, in clinical applications are less as of now. Non-exudative neovascular AMD, especially after regression of the CNV, it's very difficult to treat on the basis of OCT angiography alone. This is different from quiescent CNV or a treatment naive CNV. And in those cases, OCT angiography is very useful because it picks up the lesion much before you can do it clinically or on OCT. But a regressed CNV or a treated CNV is the one which can be difficult to monitor on OCT angiography. And finally, polypoidal choroidal vasculopathy, especially looking at polyps, can be extremely difficult with the OCT angiography. So with this, I'd like to thank you for your attention and happy to take any questions. Thank you.